Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, a weekly interview show where we talk with interesting people around the community. And today, my guest is Nick Iarocci. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Chuck. Thank you for having me in your beautiful facility here in Conneaut.
Thank you. We appreciate that and glad that you can come on our show. Of course, for most of our viewers in Conneaut, this is not the Nick Iarocci of Conneaut. This is the Nick Iarocci of Ashtabula. Give us the story, Nick, how we both got the name Nick.
You know, I'm sure Uncle Pete could give you the real long version of it. I don't quite know all the details of what went on back then, but I know they both wanted to name their firstborn son, their son, after my grandpa, who was also Nick Anthony Iarocci. So at one point there was three of us on the planet. Obviously, Grandpa died years ago, but it's just kind of a cool thing, and we run into a lot of comedic situations with having the first name and middle name. And it's, like I said, Uncle Pete probably knows the story a little better than me, but it's a fun thing. We have a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm. So when you have family functions and somebody's calling somebody up and they want to say, is this the Nick from Ashtabula or the Nick from Conneaut? Is that how it kind of goes?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always Ashtabula Nick. He was Conneaut Nick. Some people call us the good-looking Nick and the bad-looking Nick, and I'll let you label that whatever way you want. He's a really great kid. He does so much for the community, and I'm actually honored to have the same name. And he's a good kid, and he does so many good things in the area.
He is. He's super, and so are you. Of course, Nick Iarocci is the athletic director and girls basketball coach at St. John. How many years now for athletic director?
I've been athletic director for 4 years. I was assistant athletic director for 14. I've been at St. John. I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to admit it, but I've been there since 1990. So I'm going into my 28th year as just being at St. John's with various roles.
Mm-hmm. And girls basketball coach, how many years?
Girls basketball, this would be my 17th season coming up.
17th season. Now, I'm going to guess that is the longest of any county girls basketball coach tenure, or is Nancy up there?
Nancy got me by, I believe, 1 year. I think she started the year before me. Yeah, so it's just me and Nancy right now as the top two tenure in the county. It's a tough profession. There's definitely a turnover. Definitely happy to be mentioned in the same conversation with Nancy. She's good people.
Yeah, she is one of the greatest girls coaches we've had in the area.
Yes.
Nick, let's talk a little bit about the school, and then we'll get into the AD and a little bit about sports in general. The location now, the school moved out to Saybrook. How's that going? How's that transition been?
Yeah, it's going really, really well. And, you know, again, thank you for allowing me to talk to some of the people in the Buckeye and Conneaut School District, because we do have students from this area. And again, there's no knock on the Buckeye and Conneaut school system, both fantastic school systems ran by great people, a lot of good personal friends. A lot of them committed themselves to education, but we like to offer an option in Ashtabula County, and we have a faith-based curriculum, and we try to reach kids spiritually and educationally, and you can put them in whatever order you want. And yes, St. John had a great legacy on Station Avenue. We kind of outgrew the neighborhood. Sister Maureen came on the scene, and we moved out to Saybrook, out on Depot Road. Since we've been there, we've made various improvements to the school, and it's just a wonderful facility.
And it's a pre-K through 12 building.
Pre-K through 12, which in itself allows us to do a lot of things with the big and little kids. They're separated by the cafeteria, but by the same token, we can do a big brother, little brother, big sister, little sister, and a lot of mentorship goes on in that building.
Now, when you were at the old location, was it grades 7 through 12?
Actually, at the very end it was 7 through 12, but back in its heyday, St. John, the old location was just 9 through 12. And we were fed by Mark Carmel, St. Joe, Mother Sorrows, Cabrini in Conneaut, St. Mary's in Conneaut. I know I'm bringing back some real old times when it was a really special community back then, and also Assumption in Geneva. Our landscape has changed as a community. I know the church has changed as a landscape. So we have different feeder schools now, but we welcome students from all over the county and even a few from outside of the county.
Mm-hmm. Enrollment has grown tremendously. Do you credit a lot of that to the new location?
Yes, I do. I think the new location has a lot to do with it, and that's no knock on where we were. I graduated from where we were. Most of my family did. It was a great spot, a great location. But I know people, it's tough to get people's attention and you compete with a lot of different things. And the neighborhood was becoming an issue on Station Avenue. The Depot Road is very rural, very nice, almost like a college campus atmosphere. And ironically enough, it'll be the first time in the history of the school that our football team will actually be practicing at the school. They never have.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So we have the land there. We have, we built the gym, we built the tennis courts. I know we can get more into that in a little detail later, but the new facility is almost like a mini college campus. So it works out really, really well for the kids.
I know you had Nick Prokowski, now here in Conneaut, the former principal there. Tell us a little bit about how you felt when Nick Prokowski was the principal at St. John's School.
No, Nick Prokowski's an outstanding human being. He was a great principal, but an even better person. I hadn't known Nick. I just met him when he came to St. John. Then we realized he grew up out in Conneaut, and our families knew each other. And we hated to lose Nick, but I'm sure Our Lady of Peace, it was a great, I think that's where he's employed now.
No, here in Conneaut.
I'm sorry, he works here in Conneaut, and what a great asset he is for you guys. So our loss was your gain. And Scott Pleska stepped in for Nick, and he's just as great as a human being as Nick, and just a great leader for us at St. John.
Tell us a little bit about him. Where's he from?
Scott Pleska was an assistant principal at Trinity High School in Garfield Heights, and we just got really, really lucky to land him. He reminds me a lot of Nick. He's very spiritual, very education oriented, and more importantly, he's very much a people person. So again, we're lucky to have Mr. Pleska.
And you have a sister out there.
We have Sister Maureen Burke, who came onto the scene 5 years ago now. When she came onto the scene, we were on Station Avenue. And Sister is a visionary. She's amazing, the things that she sees. And I'm not even sure, maybe it took somebody from outside the area to see what she sees. I didn't have any idea moving was a good idea, and it was obviously a great idea, and she continues to come up with ideas that make us grow. And also this last year was the first year we had an assistant principal, Miss Rebecca Blenneman, who I'm pretty sure is a Conneaut graduate, and forgive me for not knowing her maiden name, but she's our assistant principal, and she's just a wonderful person too.
Sister, is she like the main administrator of the school?
Absolutely. Sister's the CEO. Scott Pleska would be the principal, and Miss Blenneman would be the assistant principal. So Sister definitely handles all the administrative things, but she's very much a hands-on. Although allowing us to, be ourselves, she's very hands-on and very involved in our day-to-day activities.
Another big asset you have at the school, and we had him here on Around the Town with Chuck, was Keith Corlew.
Keith Corlew is another one. We got real lucky. He was a recruiting expert at Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Obviously, their record speaks for itself. He's from the area. He was making the drive every day. He wanted to be part of the St. John family. And yes, I'm really, really lucky to work with a guy like Keith. He's great at his job, and again, just a great person.
I think Keith was telling us there's like over 400 students in the building.
Yes, there's 400 K through 12 continuing to grow, and we're also home to the Spire students. It's a little heart-wrenching to see these 6'7", 6'8" kids walking around the school, and they're not allowed to play sports for us because they play for Spire, and it would be an OSHA violation. But we're providing them with an education, and things are working out really well.
Of course, St. John's School's Catholicism background, but you have non-Catholics that go there as well?
Most certainly, yes. We welcome everybody of all faiths and denominations. And again, it's all about spiritual based, and we're all on the same page, just trying to be the best people we can be.
Is there any kind of a percentage as to how many non-Catholics attend the school?
I'm sure there is, and forgive me for not having that information. I could get that to you, but I'm not quite sure what it is.
Well, it's good to see the school grow, because several years ago it was on the decline, and we were worried that we were going to lose it. And to have it come back big time is really great news for the entire community. Yeah,
it really is, Chuck. And I'm fortunate, I guess I would say, that I've pretty much been involved in St. John my entire life. When I was a little kid, I was the ball boy for the football team, and my brother was a big star, and my sister was a majorette. So I've got to see it all. I've seen St. John in their heyday in the 60s and 70s, state playoffs, and I've seen us almost close twice. And yeah, the most recent time was we had to drop out of OSHA we didn't have enough students, and we were hanging by a thread on Station Avenue. And again, Sister Maureen came on the scene. A lot of great people behind the scenes, a lot of great families allowed us to be in the spot we're at today.
One thing I still like about St. John's School is they have the dress code. I can't help think that dress code makes for a great environment. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%, Chuck. I've been at Catholic school my whole life. My whole family went there. My kids went there. And that's no knock on public schools and kids that don't have a dress code. But yeah, that dress code just gives you a little added touch with the sense of discipline and the character building.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean the boys are wearing ties, right?
No, again, I was back in the heyday, and I remember back then it was, little blue striped ties, white shirt, button-down shirt. It's not quite that extreme now, but there's definitely a dress code, and violators are dealt with. So yes, there's definitely a dress code.
And there's also, I remember Keith telling us, you also have on occasion a dress down day.
Most certainly, yeah, a lot of different incentives for kids to get dressed down days, whether it's lottery sales or things they achieve in the classroom. It's kind of a cool thing, and kids really look forward to them when we do have them. And we also have dress-up days, we have dress-up days when we have mass or different type of events, and it's really cool to see the kids all dressed up too.
Having the littler kids in the school building, you said they're all separated, of course. How did they gel in with the older kids?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I wish I knew a little bit more about some of the programs that go on, but it allows us, the availability and the proximity allows so many things to occur where a young kid will follow around a junior or a senior. And it's kind of cool because it's really hard to idolize NBA and NFL players when you're just second and third grade because you don't have the exposure, but these kids are kids you see every day, and I think they're tremendous role models for our young kids, and that works out really well.
Nick Iarocci, athletic director and girls basketball coach of St. John's School, is my guest today. Nick, let's get into athletic director now. You said 4 years?
4 years as athletic
director. Assistant for 14?
14, correct, yes.
14 years, and you were an assistant for who?
I was an assistant early in the day for my brother Dom, and then later on and most recently for Mr. Dave Rosso, who remains a teacher at St. John, good friend of mine, really good guy. Had a family, decided it was time to step down, so I stepped in for Dave.
Of course, Dom was also football coach at St. John.
Most certainly.
Couple 10 years, right?
Yes, couple 10 years. Great career there as a player. Great coaching career. He also had a good coaching career at Edgewood, numerous other schools, and most recently, yes, brought them to the playoffs. And he was most recently inducted to the Asheville County Hall of Fame. This most recent class. So
well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved, and he was real excited about that.
Of course, now you have a new football coach, and that is.
We have a new football coach. We got real lucky there. Dom stepped down, and we put an ad on OSHA, and a guy by the name of Scott Neasley, who's just an amazing human being. He taught and coached football at Toledo DeSay and Toledo Catholic. Great coaching resume. His family's relocating in the Painesville area, so he was looking for a teaching and coaching job, and we were a perfect fit for him. We're real excited to have Coach Neasley as our head football coach.
Being the athletic director, Nick, now how many sports are offered at the school?
We offer numerous sports in the fall. I can go through them real quick. We offer football, obviously led by Scott Neasley. Our volleyball program is, second to none in the county, year in and year out. Steph Kubek and her staff does a great job. Their goal is always the regionals. Anything less than that, they're upset. Great program. We have cross country, of course, led by Jeremy Dunn, who's ran most recently in a couple Boston marathons. He had an assistant, Caitlin Larry. Kids love both of them. They're just so passionate about running. We most recently started girls tennis. Todd Nassif, who's just synonymous with tennis in Ashtabula County, who was instrumental in the building of the Nassif courts at St. John, which are one of the only 2 lit courts in the county. So our girls tennis team's thriving in the fall. Of course, we have golf led by newcomer Kathy Dutton, who played college golf at Wittenberg. She's an advisor on our staff. And believe it or not, this will be our first year in the history of St. John's, probably the first place I'll make any announcement, we'll be starting a soccer program this year.
Great.
Yes, how do you like that?
That is wonderful.
Yes.
Right here on Around the Town.
Right here, yes. We tried to get high school, but we didn't quite have the numbers. We're very, very soccer heavy, 6 through 8. There's probably 35 kids on the soccer team.
Wow.
So what we're thinking is probably within 2 years, they will become the high school team. And last year, they actually won the Junior High County tournament at Edgewood football field. So it's a really neat group. You got to give the kids what they want. Soccer's a very big and up-and-coming sport, as everybody knows. Yes, it is. So we will be adding junior high soccer this fall. That covers the fall.
Amazing.
Thank you. For the winter, of course, girls and boys basketball. I coached the girls. We had a great year this year. We have everybody back except one senior. Been coaching for a long time, raised differently on how the game was played. I was pretty much old school, and I threw all that stuff out the window, and we went with the new high-tech basketball, shooting the three, fast breaking, and it's exciting, and we ended up leading the county in threes, and it's what the kids want to play nowadays.
At the beginning of the year, though, you weren't too sure about that, were you, on the
Very scared. I was very scared.
I remember you
yes.
telling me that.
Yeah, you know, I always was taught you play the game from the inside out, and as I'm getting older, I'm realizing you're playing the game from the outside in, and it actually creates more lanes and more scoring opportunities for you in that a way of approaching the game. So it's exciting, and you know, you're competing with kids' attention for a lot of different things, and you have to make it fun for the kids, because if not, they're just going to other things. When we were younger, it was my way or the highway. Nowadays, the kids will just say bye.
Yeah,
so
right,
we try to make it very, you know, uplifting and fun for them. Our boys program, John Hall did a fantastic job. I know everybody knows John Hall, and he was replaced this year by Curtis Turner, who came off with 16 wins.
He did an
and
outstanding
did a great job. And John's son, John Jr., and Devin Yates assisted Curtis, and just fantastic job. And I guess I'll leave the best for last, if you want to call it that. Our wrestling program, what we just started 3 years ago, produced a state champion this year in wrestling, and he was only a freshman, Jacob Lagoa. We had two other kids that qualified that got a really vast learning experience down there, and we hope to have a few more state champions within the next couple of years, led by Coach Scott Blank, who just does a fantastic job.
Yeah, some outstanding sports programs over there. I know you stole my thunder there with the wrestling. I was going to get into that.
Sorry about that.
Send 3, though. That's incredible.
Yeah,
As a matter of
really
fact,
was.
the whole county sent about 10, I think.
Yeah, the county wrestling is amazing, and then to be down there on the final day and to see our names up there with all the big, you know, the Ignatiuses and all the great wrestling programs of Ohio, and there we were right up on the podium, and our name in the scoring. It just meant so much to us to accomplish so much in so little amount of time. But Coach Blank told me the day I interviewed him, he says, "Nick, you're going to have a state champ within 3 years," and he was true to his word. And rounding off with our spring, we have a baseball, and I'm going to make another announcement, and it should be the story in the Star Beacon tomorrow or Wednesday. I know Coach Lips' article was in there today as a new baseball coach. Congratulations, Coach Lips. We went out and got ourselves I feel a future Hall of Famer, Mr. Steve Iarocci, who ran PV's program for a long time. He will now be our head baseball coach. And that's a story I'm breaking here right now also.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. I like that.
From Nick Iarocci.
And I talked to Mike Greco from the Beacon today, so hopefully the story will be in for the next couple of days. But we're really excited about Steve running our baseball program. And last but not least, in the spring, our boys tennis team, which won the county championship this year under the direction of Todd Nassif, and led by college recruit Tony Masucci.
Yeah, outstanding. Not only in tennis, but in boys basketball, scoring over 1,000 points. One of 3 in the county to do that this year.
Yeah, how cool is that? He had to decide whether to go to college for tennis or basketball. Real fun decision, huh? It was really cool that he got to make a decision like that, and he decided to go with tennis. And whatever Tony decided to do, I know he's going to excel at.
Back to wrestling for a minute, Nick. I'm not much into wrestling. I don't really attend wrestling matches, but what was the attendance like at St. John for wrestling? Or how is it around the county, basically?
That's very interesting, Chuck, because I was very unfamiliar with wrestling, too. It's kind of its own little sport, but wrestlers are amazing human beings, and their coaching staff. Anytime we had any project at school that needed cleaning or anything done, the wrestlers were always right there. They're kind of old school in their approach to sports. Their work ethic is unparalleled. Mm-hmm. Wrestlers are amazing human beings. Most of our matches the first year were just on the road, and then we just got a mat this year, so the attendance isn't quite where we want it to be yet, but the exposure and the commitment and making them just outstanding people is just wrestling's the ticket.
Now that's more of an individual sport.
Very much.
Team.
Yeah, very much. We even lost a lot of our duels because we didn't fill all the weight classes. It is very much an individual sport, but Coach Blank, I know he does a lot of team bonding, a lot of team things together, so they do preach team. Although it's an individual sport, they do preach the team aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of great sports at St. John. I want to get into a little bit more, but what is the toughest part of being an athletic director today?
That's a great question, Chuck. And I think the thing that surprised me the most about being an athletic director, and it shouldn't surprise me, but it did, it always seems like I'm in the middle. whether it's between an athlete and a parent, or in between administration and a coach. So kind of being a liaison and being like a people person is a really good attribute to be an athletic director, but it's usually my most difficult challenge to get everybody on the same page. And our coaching staff, in my opinion, is as good as any coaching staff in the county. Along with that, you have very passionate people, and they're very passionate about their individual sport. Every now and then you have a clash, but we have such great people up there, we're able to mesh it all together.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the roles and responsibilities of an AD?
Again, it's changed so much too, and one of the main reasons it changed is because of technology, and there's so much more involvement due to technology. Like I would say a perfect example would be the competitive balance that's going on right now. And that's a whole process where you literally go through every single athlete. You have to know where they're from, when they transfer to your school, and then you enter that into the OSHA website, because they determine your classification size now based on your school roster, not just your school enrollment. I think you most recently heard Geneva's moved up to Division I in girls basketball. Mm-hmm. So that would be an example of the different things they're doing. But by the same token, technology has also made the job so much easier. So much easier. So basically, I think just handling all the administrative, I want to call it paperwork, but I don't know if that's the term anymore, because there's not a lot of paper involved. But yeah, that type of stuff, and just staying ahead of the game, doing your schedules in advance, and just trying to stay ahead of everything is probably the most challenging, but by the same token, the most rewarding.
Mm-hmm. What about, I would think it would be a headache. I know I've talked with Joel Taylor and the AD at Jefferson.
Steve Losey.
What they would say some of the toughest, one of the toughest things about that job is when you have to reschedule games. You get all these games that are canceled, especially in the spring sports. You know how the weather is around here, but even some basketball games get canceled. How tough is that?
Oh, it's extremely tough. Yeah, and it's tough on the school because we have a school calendar and you have to change a lot of things. But I know if you don't reschedule and don't get it on paper right away, it just ends up disappearing. And at the end of the day, the kids get cheated. So I think it's very important when you do get something rained out or snowed out to get on the phone that day and make sure you get something scheduled. If not, it will disappear and the kids won't play their allocated amount of games. And mom and dad won't like that too much.
Mm-hmm. I think that in baseball or in softball, or baseball I know for sure there was like 26, 28 games that get scheduled. They're lucky if they get 16, 17 of them in.
Yeah, I know. My coach told me because the drawing's only like 3 weeks into the season. And usually the drawing's set where you have about maybe 18 to 20 games played. He actually said there was a couple teams there that had 3 games played. They were like 1 and 2 and stuff like that. You had to base the seeding on them records. Yeah, the spring has really changed. The climate has changed in our area. And I know people have talked about moving the season back a month, but the obvious problem would be your graduating seniors.
Yeah. Well, I always used to say, I know this can never happen, but the way the weather is in September and October, move baseball there and move football to March and April.
Boy, you're exactly right. No, I agree, Chuck. It's just so bizarre because our spring, and it's every year. We always act surprised and get mad, but we know it's coming every single year. And the spring's just a nightmare. To my buddies at Spire, Mr. Clutter, Dave Smalley, I hope you guys are watching. We have a lot of relationship with Spire. We play football out there. Why don't you guys build an indoor baseball facility? I mean, it would be a gold mine if somebody would build something. We always talk about that.
Let's talk now about your girls' basketball team, which, by the way, won the only team to win a county postseason game. That had to be exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting for us, and we were actually disappointed we didn't win our next game against Lutheran East because we had played them so tough earlier in the year. Yeah, Chuck, I'm not sure if changing our style or just having great players coinciding to us winning a lot more this year, maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, it's very exciting, and like I said, we only had one senior on the team. And what's really weird, because I'm a very much numbers guy, and the previous 5 years we had maybe 53s. We had 124 just last year alone. So just taking that approach to the game, and again, I think you're going to see more and more teams playing that style. You don't see that center with his back to the basket. That guy's kind of, it's tough for him to play anymore. They have to face the hoop and just keep moving all the time. So again, we're really excited about it. I have everybody back. I had one senior, so we're going to continue to play that way.
And you're going to continue to be good, too, with everybody coming back.
Everybody coming back. And we're also going to install the system, believe it or not. I know a couple parents are a little angry with me, but I'm going to take a note out of Menor Cardinal's book, and we're going to install the system at the 6th and 7th and 8th grade level, too. And I just need everybody playing the same style of basketball. And believe it or not, the shot's not that difficult. It's 19 feet. It's not that hard.
Is it tough, Nick, dealing with the parents today?
Sometimes, like 98% of the time, it's not. They're great people. They just care about the school. That 2% that have their hidden agenda, sometimes it makes it difficult. You know, and I know most of them open up when I'm not complaining, but that's kind of exactly what they're doing. But I do understand, and we try to. My door's always open, you know, and we have one nice thing about our small enrollment, we're very family oriented. So 99.9% of the time, we're able to talk through it. Every now and then, there's no really good resolution, but for the most part, it works itself out.
You're a high-spirited coach out there on the basketball court. How have you been throughout the years with the officials? Have you ever been ejected or anything like that?
No, it's really bizarre. This will probably surprise you, but I've only had like 2 technicals in my entire life.
Is that right?
Yeah, very much. And I think most refs will tell you, I like to get on them and stuff like that, but I never repeat myself. I don't get on them. Once the play's over, it's over with. And I understand no official has ever cost anybody a basketball game. You start blaming officials, you're just making excuses for your kids. So I understand that. My kids understand that. The referees understand it. It's all good natured. At the end of the day, we're all there just about the kids and for the love of the game.
I was talking with our boys coach, Tim Talbach, because he's high-spirited and
yes, great
ranks
coach.
quite a bit too. And he was saying that when I asked him about the officiating, he says he knows most of the officials. He knows what he can get away with and what he can't get away with. He knows when to stop.
Absolutely. And the only time it gets a little difficult when I go up to Cuyahoga County and different counties and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't take a whole lot, so you got to make sure you curb what you're saying. But no, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, refs miss calls, but coaches make bad decisions too, and players make bad decisions. So to sit there and blame a referee is absurd.
Yeah, you had a great season this year, and I think that's going to continue.
I think it will too, Chuck. And you know what I realized, Chuck? I don't measure, obviously winning, you know, I'm not a big fan of participation trophies, and we keep score for a reason. But by the same token, one thing I understand very well is 99.9% of student athletes do not play college sports. 100% of them go on to be adults. So I'm just trying to mold people into being contributing members of our society and to make a difference in the world.
Sure. And you do a good job at that. And I think, are you related to the girls' coach at Conneaut?
I most certainly am, yes.
How are you related?
He's on my mother's side. Tony Passon is my cousin. My mom was an Esposito, so we're related on that side. And while we're talking about relations of different names, I believe your school board president, I think that's his title now, he's also my cousin, Chris Newcomb.
Oh, yes, I think that is correct.
Yes, he's such a good, what a wonderful kid he is too.
Yeah,
yes.
Super guy.
Yes, so yeah, a lot of great people out here in Conneaut. You guys are really lucky to have the people running your school system that you do. Good people.
What do you think about, I know I talked with you briefly in either at the foundation or during a game about an all-Ashtabula County League. Do you ever see that returning?
Yeah, I could probably talk a little bit on more since I know Dave Miller, and I know he won't be mad at me for mentioning his name, from the radio station, has been very instrumental in trying to get, and we've had numerous meetings over the last 3 weeks, we'll say maybe 5 weeks, and every time everybody comes to the meeting, it just doesn't go well. We can't all seem to get on the same page, but no, I'm here to say we'll be the first one to join the Ashtabula County League, 100%.
What do we have, 8 counties?
8 county schools, yeah.
8 county schools, and we can't get an 8-0 vote.
We cannot get an 8-0 vote. Certain schools don't want to be there if certain schools are there, and other schools need other schools from other counties to be there in order for it to be worth it for them. Nobody seems to want to go with just the old 8-school county league, although it seemed to work all them years.
Are you allowed to say, Nick, why they don't want it?
I really don't.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't specifically know why, and I don't think it's anything personal. I think it's more along the lines of like being aligned with schools that you feel you're competitive with in all sports, without getting real specific. I think that's a generalization of it. I'm not sure if I agree with it. I would never speak for other schools in their thought process, because I feel if all 8 of us together, we can make it work. They're even talking about inviting us, maybe adding a couple schools. Maybe a Riverside, a Madison, a Chardon,
like
a Newberry, a Fairport, you know, to make it big and small. A lot of conferences are going 2-tier now. It's just tough because back in the day, you had one really far away game. Now every game seems to be far away as far as travel.
Yeah, especially
And
those Tuesday night basketball games.
it's brutal. And then obviously you depend on ticket sales and concessions for revenue, and you don't have many people there because of the travel.
Right, I was just going to ask you about
So
the
I'm
attendance.
real proud of, one thing I'm super proud of that I've done at St. John, we've done at St. John, let me rephrase that, is that we feel we play as many, by being an independent, we're not locked into a conference schedule, we play as many county schools as any school in the county. And I hope that's a huge recruiting tool for us, that you come to St. John, even though we're small, we're gonna play every school in the county in as many sports as we possibly can, for specifically what you just said, to maybe maintain them rivalries and to cut down on the travel. Just means a lot.
One final question for you, speaking of rivalries. So what's it like when you go up against Tony Pastan? I know you guys play every year, that's a good thing.
Every year, man, he's got my number, man. I just can't beat
Oh,
him.
you had his
Yeah.
number when you
I
had
did.
Angela Knott,
I
the
did.
Tinny girl.
I did. Thank you for reminding me of that. I needed that.
What
Yeah.
a floor leader she was.
Yeah, Angela
Oh,
Knott's
my
amazing.
goodness.
I think she's like a doctor or nurse practitioner or something. Oh, gee, there's a surprise. She's doing well in life. Again, molding, good people. But yes, I had him for a while, and I thought I was going to get him this year. But he beat me by 3 points in one game. And we always play in the Conneaut Christmas tournament. And no, it's just so fun. Our girls play together in the summer when they can. And Tony's a good man and a good coach. And hopefully I can get him this year.
He is. Good job, Nick.
Chuck, thank you so
I
much.
appreciate
Thank
you
you for
coming
having
on.
me and allowing me to speak to the people in this area. And it means so much to me. Thank you.
My guest today, Nick Iarocci, athletic director and girls basketball coach at St. John School.